Hello everyone and welcome back to FIFA 22, and today in our career mode videos we're looking at the best young right midfielders or right wingers you can purchase in a FIFA 22 career mode with an 80 plus potential in League 2. Right, this is a big list. There are some fantastic players in this list with fantastic potentials, and there's some cheaper options, so it's all down to what suits you best. But I'm going to go through them all, and you guys can make the decision for yourself which ones you want to go for. So first of all, we're going to start off with Julio Cesar Enciso. 770,000 to 1.05 million. 61 starting ability with an 81 potential. So actually a pretty good bargain, to be honest, but 61 is not the best rating for League 2, but the potential he has, he will be able to improve that pretty quickly, and hopefully by the end of season 1 you're looking at around about a 65, 66 rated player who is going to be very, very strong for you. So definitely an option, and probably one of the more bargain people on this list. Next up then, João Grimaldo, again another bargain option really. 790,000 to 1.05 million. 61 starting ability with an 80 potential, so slightly less potential than Enciso, but still a very good option. Can also play cam as well as right wing, so potentially you could get both of these guys and utilise them both. But yeah, another really well priced player with that 80 potential. Next up, Fernando Olivar. Again, another bargain player really. 770 to 830,000. 61 current ability, 81 potential, and can play left wing as well as right wing. So again, a very useful player. He's going to be an absolute bargain, well under $1 million, and with your player swaps you could even get him even cheaper than that. So this is going to be one that I would definitely suggest looking into, and one that you're going to be able to make a big profit on in the future and get some really good use out of. Next up, Warren Bondo, centre mid and right midfield. Again, under $1 million, 870 to 930. 62 starting ability with an 80 potential. This guy, again, bargain really. Under $1 million, 870 to 930. So, again, you're looking at a very, very good option. And he's 62 rated, so slightly higher than some of the rest on the list so far. And a bit cheaper than some of those on the list we've already looked at as well. So, definitely worth a look for a player that can also play central midfield. Next up, Piotr Stasinski, 62 starting ability, 80 potential, 910 to 1.25 million, can play left mid as well as right mid. So again, pretty good option from Wisla Krakow. They always have really good Polish wingers every year, and they normally have really high pace and acceleration, which they do again this year. So it's definitely one worth looking at here. Old Stasinski. So yeah, another very cheap option. 80 potential is not quite as good as some of the other players on this list, but it's still a player that's going to be highly profitable for you to pick up. And of course, that pace might be the big difference you're looking for in League 2, because that pace is going to be trouble for any League 2 defence. Next up, Ronaldo Chacon, 1.1 to 1.6 million, can play left and right wing. 62 starting ability, 80 potential. It's a good option. I don't think he's the best one on this list, to be honest. I think we've found cheaper players below hand, and there's better value for money higher up the list as well, with people that have better current ability. So, I mean, this guy is available. There's the potential of a player swap with the club Deportivo Táchira. So you might be able to get him for a very good price. But I think there's better options on this list, but he's definitely one to consider if you are struggling elsewhere. Next one is Karamoko Dembele from Celtic. This guy's got a 63 starting ability with an 82 potential, 1 million to 1.5. Now, I can't imagine Celtic's going to do any player trades with you at all. However, for 1 million basically, this is a really, really good option for an 82 potential. That weekly wage of 2.9 thousand should be okay for a League 2. It's a little bit more expensive than some of the other players on this list, but it should still be doable. Next one, Ivan Saranic, right wing as well as cam. 1.1 to 1.8 million for this guy. 63 starting ability, 82 potential. So a useful player in the future. The 82 potential is very good. But again, I think price-wise, there's better value for money out there. I mean, this guy is still available, but yeah, I just think there's better value elsewhere. But I mean, if you've got your financial takeover, you buy whoever the hell you want, really. Next up, Erin Dinky, 1.6 to 2.5 million from Werder Bremen. 64 starting ability, 81 potential. You're starting to pay now more for the current ability than you are the potential. So if you're not desperate for a fantastic player right now, I think the people we've already looked at will be a better option. However, if you do need somebody stronger, then this might be an option for you. But again, I believe there's probably better value for money lower down on this list when we get into the more valuable players. Next, Giannis Konstantelias. 1.4 to 2 million, can play cam as well as right wing. 64 to 81. Again, I mean, this is actually pretty good value. 1.4 to 2 million. Quite expensive for League 2. But still, I think it's a pretty decent player with that 81 potential. But again, I think there's probably better value for money elsewhere. I think if you're working off a budget, you want to look at the players higher up the list. And if you're working from if you're working with someone who's got a massive budget, like if you've got the financial takeover, then I'd wait till the bottom of the list where you've got the higher overall ratings now. Next up then, we have got Brian O'Day. 64 starting ability, 81 potential, 1.3 to 1.7 million from Crotone. Again, what can you say there? He's a decent player, decent starting ability. Pretty decent value, to be honest, as well, compared to some of the other ones. So it's definitely an option, but again, I think there's better options on this list than him. Arvid Apaya can play left mid and right mid from Almeria. 2 million to 2.9 million. 65 to 80. So again, not ideal, but if my memory serves me right from last year, Arvid Apaya has got incredible space, incredible pace. So again, this is going to be someone who's going to rip League 2 to shreds and make it much easier for you. So it might just be worth it if you are heavily dependent on the pace like I am. This guy might be worth it for you. If not, then I think there's better options on the list. But yeah, if you love the pace and you need the pace, this is your man. Right, moving on to Felix Mambimbi. 65 starting up to an 80. 2 million to 2.9. Can play striker as well as both sides. I don't believe it's worth the money compared to some of the others on this list. If you are working from an unlimited budget with a financial takeover, could be a very useful player to have on the bench to cover those three positions. But apart from that, I can't see this being one of the main men you want to really push for in your career mode. Next up, Stefan Bayaram. 1.8 to 2.8 million, can play left and right-sided. 65 starting ability, 80 potential. 1.8 to 2.8 again. I think there's better value for money elsewhere. This guy is available, and potentially player swaps could bring this value down to under $1 million. But still, I think there's better money to be spent elsewhere. Next up, Dario Sarimento, 1.9 to 2.8 million. 65 starting rating and 83 potential, so pretty good potential. Left mid and right mid. Again, he's pretty expensive though. For League 2, and you might struggle to be able to afford him unless you've got that financial takeover once again. Definitely an option to think about though, with that 83 potential is going to make him a little bit more stronger at the Premiership side of your career mode. But at the moment, it's all down to whether you can afford him, I suppose, at this point. And again, potentially there's better value for money elsewhere. Next up, Christian Oliveira from Peñarol in Uruguay. Can play right mid and left mid. 2.2 to 3.3 million. And he is a 65 starting ability, 81 potential. Again, I mean, this is potentially a club you could do player trades with from League 2. So it is a club that you might be able to get this player from, I don't know, maybe close to $1 million. Maybe 1.5. So it's definitely a possibility to get this guy a bit cheaper than this. 81 potential. I mean, it's up to you on this one. I do think there's better value elsewhere again, but yeah, definitely worth a look. Next up, Claudio Petria, 2.3 to 3.2 million. 66 starting rating up to an 80. Can play right wing as well as striker. Again, I've said it on the last few, I think there's better value for money elsewhere, but this guy is available should you want to go for him. Next up, we've got Felix Correa from Parma, 2.6 to 3.8 million. 65 starting ability up to an 81 potential. So as you can see, he's already gone up 1 point already in the 2 weeks I've played this career mode to scout these people. So he's pretty close to that 66 mark. I mean, the potential of 82 is pretty good. I do think there's better value for money elsewhere, but definitely an option. And that 82 potential means, again, it'll be a bit longer lasting for you when you get into the Premiership, still useful. Next up, Hugo Vallejo, 2.9 to 4.1 million for this guy who can play right mid and left mid. 67 starting ability, 80 potential. Nothing really stands out for me here. I mean, if you're looking for a strong player at the beginning of your career mode at 67, he's going to be very good in League 2. Apart from that, his potential doesn't really fill me full of too much hope, and to be honest, the value as well, there's just better value for money elsewhere on this list. As I've said, that's become a bit of a catchphrase at the moment, isn't it? Next up, Isaac Bergman Johansson, 67 rated, 82 potential, 2.8 to 4.2 million. Can play cam, centre mid as well as right wing, so does cover quite a few different positions. Probably better value for money than Vallejo, but still quite expensive for somebody who's got the 82 potential. I think at this point you're paying the extra money for the higher current ability, so he might be worth it, especially if you've got the financial takeover. It's definitely a shout at someone who can cover several positions. If not, then possibly I would look at spending my money elsewhere. Next up, Ryotaro Araki, right mid, left mid and cam, so can play several positions, 2.2 to 2.4 million, so you're looking at a lot cheaper than the previous two players. And this guy is a 67 current ability with an 80 potential, so not quite a high potential as the others, but definitely more of a now player. One that you're going to get a lot of use out of now, and you will be able to sell him by the time you get to the Premiership and make a hefty profit. So it's down to you whether you have the money and want to go for it. Kashima Antlers, the Japanese team, is a team you possibly may be able to do some player trades with as well. So you could bring that value down to even cheaper and get yourself a bit of a bargain on this one. So definitely worth a look, this one. I wouldn't say it's always going to be worth it, but definitely worth a look to see what you can get him for and whether it's going to be worth it for you. Next up, Gaspar Campos, 2.9 to 4.1 million, 67 current ability, 81 potential. Can play right mid, left mid and cam as well. 81 potential, I think there's better value elsewhere. I mean, obviously Araki is going to be cheaper for one less potential, which by the grand scheme of things at the end I don't think is going to be that much of a difference. So I think maybe unless you've got the financial takeover, this one's probably not going to be one of your priorities, but he is available should you wish to pick him up. Next one is Tirif's Dolan, I'm going for that. 3.2 to 4.6 million, 68 current ability, 83 potential, so one of the highest potential players on this list. Can play right wing, left wing and striker, so a good all-round player. 9,200 wage though is pretty damn high and going to be very difficult for a League 2 team to be able to afford. I possibly would think about going for this player only if you got the financial takeover. If you've not gone for the financial takeover, I think this is going to be out of most people's price range, especially with that wage as well, so I'll probably back away from this one. But, I mean, you get what you pay for. This guy has got the highest potential on the list at 83, and he's pretty damn good now at 68 as well, so definitely worth a look if you do have the money available. Similar to the last one, we've got Louis Sibley, 3.3 to 4.7. Can play cam as well as right mid. Plays for Derby, 68 current ability, 82 potential. Again, same as Dolan. It's a very good player if you can get a hold of him. He's going to really be strong now in the League 2. However, at the same time, I don't think unless you've got the financial takeover, you're going to be able to afford this sort of player in League 2. I mean, you could, but you're going to get just one and that's it, rather than really investing quite a few positions and getting the best out of your long-term career. Next up then, Gustav Isaksson, 68 current ability, 81 potential, 3.3 to 4.7 million. I mean, I think there's better players elsewhere on the list. I think if you're looking for a higher potential, there's better players. And if you're looking for a better player now, there's better players. We just looked at a couple, Dolan and Sibley. So for me, this one is available if you can afford him, but I wouldn't put this as a priority. I think there's much better options on this list already. Next up, Raimundo Fuzienko. 2.8 to 3.1 million, which is actually a decent value compared to some of the others around this area on the list. I wouldn't say it's a bargain, but it's cheaper than some of the others at this point. That 10,500 wage, though, is not ideal. Plus, it's a 68 current ability to an 80 potential, so not as high potential as some of the others as well. But, I mean, if you're trying to get a good player on a budget, this could be an option for you. However, if you do have a budget, I wouldn't suggest you get this far down the list. I'd suggest you go for someone a bit earlier on. These are your players that are going to be very strong in League 2 right now. Not just good potential, but right now, strong players. So, this guy's available, but he's really expensive. Next one, Largi Ramazani. I believe this guy used to be in the Man United Academy and has been released or sold to Almeria. What do we got here then? 68 current ability, 83 potential, 3.4 to 5 million. Very expensive. Can play left mid, right mid and striker. If you're playing with the financial takeover, then I think this is a fantastic option to go for. I mean, he's going to cover 3 attacking positions. He's 68 rated now. He's got 83 potential. You've got nothing to lose if money is not an issue for you. So definitely go for this one. If you've not got the financial takeover, I mean, it's still going to be a good player for you. But it's down to whether you want to invest heavily in one big player or whether you want to invest in several other players or with big potentials that you can make a bigger profit on. So it's up to you, really. Next up, Zeljko Gavric. 3.2 to 4.5 million. Someone who can play left mid, right mid, and cam. 68 starting ability, 81 potential. So a bit cheaper than some of the other people who are 68 rated, but his potential is a little bit lower. With the club as well, potentially player swaps are an option. However, you're not going to get him a hell of a lot cheaper, I don't think. And I don't think you're going to get him for anywhere close to $1 million. So again, if you've got the financial takeover, it's worth a look, but I think there's much better options if you've got that. Next up, Ismail Casas, 69 rated, 80 potential, 2.6 to 2.8 is actually a very good value for a 69 rated. 80 potential is not bad as well, and can also cover the centre-back and right-back position. I personally, if you've got the financial takeover, this is a player I would pick up as maybe a first teamer or maybe as a player you can have on the bench to bring on to cover those 3 positions. So definitely a really good utility player. And for 2.6 to 2.8 million for a 69 rated guy with an 80 potential is actually pretty good. I wouldn't imagine if you're working off a budget you would make this a priority. However, if you are working from an unlimited budget, this could be a very good option for you. Next up, Brennan Johnson, 69 starting ability, 82 potential. But that 14,000 weekly wage is going to be very, very difficult for a League 2 team to cover, unless, of course, you've got the financial takeover. 3.7 to 5.2 million is also very expensive again, so unless you have the financial takeover, I don't think this is going to be a good option. I mean, even if you do have the financial takeover, I think there's better options on this list you could go for with the higher potential, better value for money. But this guy is available should you want to pick him up, but I do think there's much better options elsewhere. Next up, then we've got Gökdeniz Bayraktar. He can play left mid, right mid, and striker. 3.8 to 5.6 million. He's a 69 rated player at the moment with an 83 potential. So a very good player you can bring into League 2 and one who's going to last you through quite a chunk of your career. So if you've got the financial takeover, this is definitely one I would suggest going for. If you've not got the financial takeover, I don't think you'll be able to afford this guy at all. But, I mean, it's up to you if you want to go for it. If you want to go for one big, strong striker to really get your goal scoring up, then it's definitely worth a shout. And the final man on the list is Luka Sucic. 3.8 to 5.6 million, cam, centre mid and right mid. 69 current ability, 83 potential. So again, if you've got that financial takeover, this guy would be a fantastic signing. Without the financial takeover, I think you're going to struggle to get anywhere near the value you need to really get a hold of this guy unless you sell quite a few players. But yeah, he's a very good player. With that 83 potential as well is fantastic. So it's definitely worth a look. But going back through, I mean, 83 potential wise, if you've got no budget, then you're looking probably Sucic, Bayraktar, Ramazani. They've all got 83 potential, as does Dolan's got 83 potential as well, so he's a good shout. You've also got Sarmiento, who's got the 83 potential as well. And then if you're looking for more of the bargain side of things, I mean, down here, I mean, all these guys do have an 80 plus potential. And if you look at the values, you can get quite a few of them for under $1 million. and with the player swaps you can get them even cheaper than that. So there's a lot of fantastic options you can get, and I mean some of these as well. I mean that guy can cover both sides, that guy can do centre mid as well. You've got some who can cover striker as well. So there's a lot of good options on this list. I am going to do some separate videos based on bargain players and on the highest potential players you can get as well. So if you're still struggling, let me know, and you can watch those videos. Of course, if you think I've missed anyone from the right wing for League 2, please do let me know in the comment section down below. And I hope this has been helpful. Of course, if it has, hit that like button, let me know in the comment section down below, and subscribe if you would like to see some more. I've been Shepard Gamer, thank you very much for watching. Good night!